So today I will be presenting about stress and coping mechanisms. Just a little introduction. Stress is something that is bound to happen to everyone in your life, right? You can't really avoid it. Whether you're an adult, whether you're a student, even whether you're a little child, you're gonna experience stress. Stress is actually something that is so bound to happen. Restart. Stress and coping mechanisms is what I will be presenting on today. Just a little introduction. Stress is something that's bound to happen in your life. No matter what job, what phase of life you're in, how old you are, stress is bound to happen in your life. So this presentation will address stress, how some people deal with stress, how you probably should deal with stress, and different coping mechanisms, and just how to cope with stress in the right and wrong ways. Defining stress. Stress is simply a reaction to something difficult that's going on around you in your environment, right? It's actually a natural response that triggers us to address certain situations. And so in some ways, stress is a good thing because there are certain situations in our life that need to be changed. And so it's a trigger in our brain telling us, hey, you need to address this situation, right? And so I think stress has a really negative connotation around it because it can bring about anxiety and worry. But the reason that anxiety and worry really come about in excess is because of our coping mechanisms. So stress alone is not always a bad thing. How you deal with stress is what is important. Now we're defining coping. Coping refers to the behaviors and changes people will make when dealing with stress or stressors. There are many different coping strategies that people use for better or for worse. Coping with stress does not only affect your mental health, but it can also affect your physical health through things like diet and exercise. A lot of people think that stress is just something that just affects your mental health. But studies have shown that stress and coping, stress can affect your mental health along with your physical health as well. And so having positive coping strategies, being able to deal with stress properly, can not only help your mental, but it can also help your physical well-being. So here are the different coping mechanisms. First, we have problem-focused coping. This is trying to directly fix or change the things that's causing stress. So that is kind of attacking the problem head on, right? Trying to fix whatever the problem may be. Now we have emotion focus. This is when someone is trying to address their emotions related to stress rather than the actual stressor. So instead of kind of going straight at the problem, you're addressing your emotions toward the problem. Then we have avoidance coping. This is someone who attempts to avoid stressful situations altogether. Now we have some real life examples. So we'll start with college students. We're all college students, so we can kind of relate to this. Obviously, college comes with stress. Studies show that planning helps college students manage stress better and improve their overall health. So planning, right? For college students, most of the time, our stress comes from the fact that we have too much schoolwork. We got too much going on. We have to go to work and get all our assignments done, right? And so for a lot of college students, planning things out, saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to wake up at 8 a.m. and get this done. X, Y, and Z, so on and so forth, right? Planning and scheduling helps a lot of college students manage their stress and improve their overall health. This is problem-focused coping. The problem is not enough time, so we attack that problem. Now we have adults. Being an adult comes with stress, obviously. Studies have shown that adults who regulate their emotions will tend to manage stress better and be healthier. So it shows here that for some adults, maybe instead of focusing on the problem, right? Because sometimes the problem may be with your kids, right? The problem may be something that you can't exactly change. And so for a lot of adults, it shows that you need to change your emotions towards your stressor, right? Change the way you feel about this stressor and change the way you approach the idea of this stress, right, or this stressful situation, because you cannot change the situation. This is emotion-focused coping. So just a conclusion. Problem-focused coping and being able to regulate emotions typically point to less anxiety and better health. So being able to practice these things, being able to attack problems head on, and figure out how to address these situations, and also figuring out how to regulate your emotions correctly in a healthy way, can help with your anxiety and also improve your overall health. Because like we addressed earlier, it's not just about mental health, it's about physical health as well. Avoidance coping. Avoidance coping is typically not a great way to go about coping with stress and dealing with stress. The main reason for that would be because you can't avoid all the hard things in your life. A lot of the things that are stresses in your life are also very important things in your life, whether that be schoolwork, whether that be work, whether that be your children, right? And so you can't just avoid these things. When you're avoiding these things, you're neglecting the important things in your life. And a lot of times, that'll just add more stress onto your shoulders at the end of the day. Studies have also shown that having social support around you, having a healthy support and people around you, can also lessen your anxiety and your excessive stress. So having a good group of people, having maybe a mentor or maybe just encouragement, can help lower your anxiety and help you deal with stress better. Different people may cope in different ways. Like we expressed earlier with the college students and the adults, maybe when you're in different phases of life, things of that nature, you need to find ways of coping and dealing with stress that work for you in your phase of life. Because the way your parents deal with stress may be different from the way you need to deal with stress. How you deal with stress may change over time, kind of just like I just addressed. When you're in college, you may deal with stress one way, and then you become an adult and your stressors are different, and the things you have to worry about are different. And so you have to learn, okay, maybe instead of problem-focused coping, I need to learn to address my emotions better. So being able to adapt to your phase of life when it comes to stress and when it comes to coping is very important. The way you deal with stress in college may be completely different from how you deal with stress as an adult. Just another fun fact that I found is that your culture can also affect the way you cope and deal with stress. I just found that very interesting, that we all come from different backgrounds, different families, different environments, and so that can all affect the way you cope and the way you deal with stress, whether that be for better or for worse.